Hello, I'm ABXToyCat, and welcome back to another episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is a Let's Play where I've been playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the console, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And you're probably aware that I destroyed something last episode, and I called it like I was finishing that, and I actually had a few comments saying like, ToyCat, is it really finishing a build if you're removing it? And when you think of it like that, I guess in a way it's not. But you know, rather than getting into the technicalities of when something's truly finished versus when it's only kind of, I figured why not instead work on something which we can all agree needs to be finished, and that might have even showed up in my builds I need to finish video, because it is my lumberyard, or my wood factory. I know lumberyard's the correct term, but like, wood factory is just what it is in my head, because this is going to be a factory that produces wood, in the same way a lumberyard would. But still, yeah, this is a, lumberyard wood, but yeah, this is going to be a giant kind of collection of lots of trees. You know, each of these patches of dirt is going to have a tree on it, and the idea is, because I need wood every now and then for builds, like, not often enough that I have a, stash of it lying around, but every now and then I'm like, oh yeah, I really kind of need wood, and I don't often have it when I need it, so I'm like, that's kind of annoying. So I figured, why not, actually just have like a giant plantation like this, where I can have a bunch of saplings for every type of tree, and then I plant them all. I set them up in the right conditions, string next to them with a, ceiling which stops them from going too high, so I always get the good types of trees, i.e. these types of trees and not those types of trees. If you're curious as to why these are so much better, I mean, if you've ever played Minecraft and chopped down a tree, you're probably aware, but yeah, chopping down these types of trees right here is really frustrating, because you're going to go underneath them, and they take ages to chop down. So instead, I'm going to be trying to set them up to be the good trees all the way, all the time, and that way we can have like a really decent way of farming wood. I can get a good stash of all the types of wood, and then everything's going to be wonderful. But to do that, I need to have the building to place it all in, because that's kind of important, and in today's video, I'm going to be building that, so hopefully you all do enjoy it. I think the like video thing popped up like a solid minute or something ago. If you're curious about that actually, as to one, why that is always, why that does show up on the Let's Plays, is because I actually have it set to be on all my, videos that I edit, like by default, so, taking it off is more effort than leaving it on. I figured, maybe someone enjoys it, and they're like, oh, it's not a ToyCat video till the spoosh starts. But you might ask, like, so ToyCat, why don't you ask for likes on the, these videos? I think pretty much every other video on this channel, I ask for, like, I go like, oh, like the video if you like it, because everyone knows that it helps out the channel a lot, and lets know you do like it, right? And, yeah, the honest reason behind that is, like, it has some amount of help, so I think it's less so on the current YouTube system, but, it does actually have some amount of help to it, and also, the reason that I ask there is because a lot of people that watch my normal videos aren't necessarily subscribed, whereas the Let's Play, I think most of you are subscribed, and therefore you know that, and it's just one of those things where it's like, let's just do one thing differently and see how that goes, whereas, if I do it on a main channel video, then I think there's some number of people that won't like a video unless you say it, which is really bizarre to me. Like, if I'm being entirely honest, like, I feel like I'm gonna like a video, I'm gonna like most videos I like regardless, or I'm gonna like very few videos because for some reason, my liked videos are like some elite club or something. But I think the sorts of people that won't like a video till you say, oh yeah, but now you like it, I don't think I can actually understand them personally. Like, again, I'm sorry if any of you are out there and you're like, ToyCat, you don't understand me. But I mean, again, to me, it's the sort of thing where it's like, I already understood how the like function worked, but whatever. YouTube's funny, YouTube's weird. I think the reality behind most people that do it are like, there's a lot of, especially recently because of YouTube's been making big pushes for this. A lot of people that watch YouTube are maybe like super young and they don't understand how rating systems work. Because if you've been on the internet for a while, you've probably seen. Even on YouTube for a while, you've probably seen the evolution of the the rating systems where it used to be like, oh yeah, rate it 1 to 5 stars. And actually, if you're curious, let's have a little fun fact for you right now. If you are curious, the reason why it went from 5 stars or whatever to asking like, oh yeah, so now it's like and dislike, is because I think most people, when presented with a 5-star system, either give it 5 stars to like say, yeah, I really really like this, when maybe it was only worth 4, or if it's worth 2 or 3, they'll be like, nope, this is 1, I hate it, you deserve to have your ranking removed. So like and dislikes, just like the whole like, oh yeah, well if you think this is good and deserves people to acknowledge that, then give it a like, and if you think it's terrible, then no, there's the dislike instead of 1 and 5 stars. Because again, it should, Amazon reviews and stuff like that use the 1 to 5 star system, but you'll notice how there's like an abnormal amount of like 1-star reviews and 5-star reviews, and they affect the rating way more than those other ones, which is, again, kind of interesting to me. So anyway, we're going to make a bunch of wood slabs, and we're going to work a little bit on the outside in a second. So, actually, let's work on this right now, just to get this kind of equal, because there's a lot of, stuff that needs to be done here. You can see that there's just so much missing, but I want to make at least a good outline and make the place look better by the end of the day, because that's always my kind of goal in anything. Like, if you're going to work on something for a little bit, in this case, it's the Let's Play for 20 minutes. By the way, you're probably all already aware, but I got Frostwalker boots recently, and they show up every now and then, because when I get too close to the water, it does this. I think that's kind of cool. But, yeah, basically, you're probably, what was I saying? Oh yeah, when I like to work on something, you gotta like finish it and be like, yeah, I did a thing. That thing, like, you know, where what I was previously working on is now significantly better, and I think that's cool. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. And by the end of the day, this is gonna look better in some way. Maybe not massively better, but it's gonna be like, yeah, that unfinished giant hole in the center is now better. Like the entrance, already better. And what I'm going to do at first, actually, because I have so much wood and this is my only real opportunity, is I'm going to finish this thing. It's been annoying me for a little bit because I've had the idea in my head for a while, but it just requires so much wood to move this adder. But you know what, let's just do this. Let's eat our steak. We don't actually have very much food. I think, yeah. Oh no, we've got pork chops. But yeah, basically, I'm just going to finish this. Even if it takes all the wood I have and ruins, you know, the rest of everything, this needs to be finished because even, I don't actually know what this is meant to be anymore. I just know the shape of it because it's meant to be kind of like, almost like a chimney, but like a weirdly shaped chimney. So if you're curious as to what I mean by that, basically, so we'll level this out for now so you can kind of understand like, oh yeah, that's kind of like a flume, a pipe or whatever. But then, actually, you know, let's do one more layer up, just to be extra safe on this one. Oh, actually, wait. Let's place this in there now, so we can come back to that later. But then let's go a layer up because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it like a slanted one because again, I feel like that's a cool chimney. If you have just this just looks like a random circle in the middle of nowhere right now. But if you then again, I don't know if this is like good advice for any other builds in Minecraft. So you know, your mileage is probably going to vary or something like that. But I'm going to then make it so it like kind of slants up on this end to make it look like, I guess, deeper on one side than the other. I don't know, you'll see what I mean in a second, and it should be, well, it's at least what I'm going for, it's just I don't know if what I'm going for is good. In fact, when it comes to Minecraft building, like 80% of the time, I really have no idea what's going on. It's like, oh yeah, I guess that adds up and makes sense in my head or something. Because, I mean, realistically, so now we go another block up. Because realistically, you know, I guess Minecraft building is like some extension of art, right? Like, I mean, I'd say that's true. I'm sure very few people can disagree with that. It's like, or at the very least, you can say it's Lego. You know, it's kind of like Lego, and you can argue that Lego's kind of like art, right? Again, that's not too controversial a position. So if you can agree on that, so this is what I was going for. As you can see, it might need another block. Yeah, I think it needs to be a little bit more slanted. So we'll start the slant here and just kind of stack everything up. One more block. If we can, we can't. Oh no, we're gonna run out of blocks before we get there. Well, I made the biggest mistake ever. I could try and undo it right now, but instead, I'll just... Oops. Okay, so as you can see, everything is entirely fine here. Nothing's gone wrong at all. And I guess that gives it texture and character. Yeah, that's perfect. This is just what people want. Okay, actually, you know, if we just remove this block right here, and we put it here instead, then it almost looks intentional. Not quite, but almost. And then we just have to finish off some of this on the inside. So if you're at an angle like on that hill or something, and you look in, you shouldn't be able to see down below it. There should be like a thing around the outside, like this, that kind of like implies that, oh yeah, there's just like a central chimney of smoke in there or something. You know, I'm lost. I have no idea. I'll admit right now, I thought I had an idea, but I don't. But that's fine. Sometimes it's okay to be lost. In fact, actually, you know what? I think being lost is an underrated sensation, right? Like one of my favorite things to do when I first go to some brand new place, and I think it should be on your list too. Well, you know, even if it's just like a place you kind of know or is nearby or whatever, is to just get lost there. I feel like when you get lost somewhere, everything you find is magical. Whereas if you know, like, okay, if you go to let's make up a place I've never been to, so we can all have the same you know, 0 level of experience. If you think of Rome, right? So Rome is known for the Colosseum, maybe, and I wish I knew more landmarks about Rome, but there's also the Vatican City and all that sort of stuff. If you know exactly where they are and you walk to them, it's like, oh, that's kind of that. But if you just stumble across one randomly, it's really, really cool. I think the story I mentioned for this that was like, that is pretty darn cool, is I once ran across the... I was just walking someone home from, like, I think it was a date or something, and I was walking them home, like, to their train station, and as we were walking there, well, the bus station, I think it was, like, London Victoria bus station, in case you're curious as to how this all works out, while we're walking there, we just walked past Buckingham Palace, and it's like, that's, like, one of the, you know, world's landmarks, isn't it? Yeah, and then we continued walking, and that, to me, that was, like, such way more magical than if you, like, plan your whole day around going to see the Queen, and, you know, on the one hand... It's kind of unrealistic if you are just visiting to be like, oh yeah, let's just hope we stumble across all the key things we want to see. But I think on the other hand, if you do, you know, have like a certain number of things you do want to see, and then just get lost for the rest, and that could, you know, in real life too, you know, just know the rough directions to a place, let the rest take care of itself. Which again, generally terrible advice, but being lost to me at least, I could be horribly wrong on the the average, but for me at least, it kind of has pretty good results in general. So pro tip: getting lost, underrated emotion. Do it more or something, or do it less. I mean, I'm not the boss of you. You can do whatever you want. But with that said, let's go to sleep, or let's wait 3 seconds, and then let's go to sleep. Let's wait. Let's eat some steak and just wait for this for a second. If you're curious, I really don't want any nighttime to pass when I'm here, because this is a swamp, it's not lit up swamp yet. So if I give it like a minute, then for some reason that happens. Also, look at this, it's pretty cool. But yeah, because it's a swamp, obviously slime spawn, and no one really wants that, so let's avoid that at all costs. Anyway, so speaking of places and stuff, so just as I'm recording this, I'm either coming back from the north of England, or I'm back already, or I died on the way there, and this is a spooky ghost video that you're seeing, after I've been gone. But yeah, basically one of those situations is true, and basically, so I was in the north recently, and one of the things that there was something about one of the things about, I guess, going anywhere that intrigues me, really anywhere, especially like UK distances, like, oh yeah, you travel 10 miles and in a whole brand new city. But like, yeah, one of the things that always intrigues me is just how different people are in lots of ways you might not figure. Like, okay, so, dialects and accents and stuff like that, everyone can understand why that changes from place to place, right? Because obviously... Also, what am I going to do with all of this floor space over here? I just realized I've got a whole bunch of it and no real plan. But again, we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, like dialects and accents and stuff like that, it all makes sense. If you're curious as to why accents develop, it's because like suddenly someone starts speaking very slightly differently. So you might notice, for instance, I don't pronounce T's certain times, stuff like that. Someone will do that, and then you start speaking and a friend will pick up a word or something, and, in no time it's spread, and suddenly the way you pronounce the word water, as some people call it, or water, as you would pronounce it if you were saying the T or whatever. Again, that's one I think I used to make. I don't think I really do it in videos and stuff, but, certain T's, if you don't pronounce them hard or stuff like that, or like, for instance, the way people in the West Country, or pirates, pronounce their R's super hard, like, I can't. I wish farmers or whatever. Like that sort of an accent that sort of develops because people just make a mistake and it kind of develops over time. Okay, that's common stuff, right? But there are certain things that change from culture to culture that just like kind of blow my mind, honestly. Like one I discovered recently is to do with German. So Germany is a country. Have you guys heard of it? Pretty underknown country, right? But yeah, Germany is a country. I don't know why I'm starting that with like, oh, Germany's a country, guys. Because I mean, maybe someone out there is like, oh yeah, Germany, that's my favorite deli. They make the best, I guess, what's the hot dog? What's the famous hot dog? Oh, yeah, I don't know why, but I'm blanking on, like, the famous hot dog from Germany. But, like, it's a sausage, and it's called, a Wurst sausage? It's a something Wurst. Anyway, something Wurst. Try currywurst, by the way. It's super delicious. But, yeah, so Germany, in Germany, the way if you were to gesture the, free, like 1, 2, 3 fingers, everyone outside of Germany, as far as I can tell, goes 1, 2, 3 with their middle 3 fingers. But for some bizarre reason, and I have no idea how this possibly develops, in Germany, that's like, it's only the 3 middle ones. And again, I can understand certain differences, because if you don't know, like, certain differences, like accents and stuff, are slowly getting removed over time. Like, if you went back 100 years, the accents from the north of Scotland versus, let's call it the south of England, they're going to be so ridiculously different. But, over time, because of the internet and how easy it is to get from place to place, accents are slowly being removed. But that's the sort of thing where it's like, I don't know how that develops in the first place, and I don't know why that wouldn't go away. Because, I mean, maybe it's the sort of thing where it's so small that no one even notices. Like, do you have a German friend right now? Have you ever asked them to put 3 fingers up? Because, it's not a very common situation, is it? But yeah, it's one of those mind-blowing things. It's like, if it's that uncommon, how did people learn to do it in the first place? Which, I had a whole bunch of, like, I was mind-blown for a little bit of that, and then I figured, maybe it's just one of those things where, like, a whole culture got together to just troll the rest of the world. Like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be funny if we just, like, made up this, way of doing things? And then everyone just said, yeah, it would be kind of funny. Let's get those Americans back for, I don't know, World War II or something. But yeah, with that, that was something kind of mind-blowing I discovered this week. And really, I think culture in general is kind of a weird concept when you really think about it, because you have to kind of take individuals and you have to say, you're not people, you're just part of a big group. And I think there's a billion reasons, like, I guess, historically, why that's not a good idea, right? But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I guess that is a thing that you just kind of have to do. So to even, for me to even generalize all Germans, because, not all Germans do that. I imagine it's like 90% of them or something, or not all people from Bristol or the West Country, say farmers. I'm sure some of them like, oh yes, there are wheat farmers in the field over there, speaking Queen's English or whatever. But it's just one of those cool little things like that. Anyway, one of the things I learned this morning that I figured would be rather interesting. At least it was interesting to me, so I figured, why not share it here? It was actually to do with fridges, right? So it's ridiculous how this came across, because I was just reading about, like, what products you do and don't keep in a fridge, because for some reason, like, of all the debates people have in the world, like, there are loads of big issues that we're kind of settling together. Some of the big ones are, like, kind of stupid, but they're the fun ones in my opinion. Like, think about toilet paper under or over the roll. People are passionate about their side of that argument in a way that is very, very intriguing to me. But, like, there's issues like that where, like, oh yeah, everyone kind of believes it. But one of the things that's so bizarre to me is the fact that certain people believe some products are kept in the fridge and some people keep them in the cupboard. And again, it's like a violent dispute as to, like, no, I want this at 5 degrees Celsius, not room temperature, which is probably like 12 degrees. That 7-degree difference will literally kill my family and my wife and kids and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, that seems a bit extreme. No one actually says it like that, but they're basically implying it with the way they do it, right? And there's a bunch of disputes, so I was like, I'm going to learn the correct way to do all of this stuff. And one of the ones that blew my mind is, like, I think at some point as a kid, I was taught that, like, you can't keep bread in the fridge. Like, if you do it, it actually, like, it dissolves the bread faster. And one of the things I would have totally done as an adult, had I not read this, is, like, every now and then, I like to very subtly rebel against the system. And I was going to be like, I'm going to just keep my bread in the fridge. And, like, troll guests that come over, like, yeah, enjoy your cold bread. Or, I don't know. To me, at least, that'd be a very satisfying moment. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because bread actually does last a significantly less time in the fridge. Something to do with enzymes and bread, and I don't know the science, but I just found that fascinating. And yeah, there's a bunch of items that you meant to keep in the fridge and the freezer. And the reason I bring that up is because I discovered that it was only 1968, so literally less than 50 years ago, that people, a fridge was more common than not having a fridge. So 50% of people, 51% of people, let's call it, had a fridge just after 1968. Whereas before then, less than half the people in the UK at least had fridges. And to me, that's kind of a nuts little fact. Like, whoa, this thing that's like so common it wasn't even until then. And when you really think about it, whenever you find a fact like that that's kind of mind-blowing, really it shouldn't be that mind-blowing. It should be like, yeah, well, I'd never looked it up, and I was never, I'd never really thought about it, so I guess that's not mind-blowing. But again, every now and then it is like, whoa, like sewers, for instance. So sewers are just a part of everyday life right now, right? Like, or, I mean, not everyday life, but yeah, I mean, yeah, everyday life. Like, you use them in some way, even if it's not, like, you're not directly looking at one or whatever. But yeah, the interesting thing about sewers to me is that we only invented them, like, 100 years ago. Before then, we were just like, let's just have a pit of water below the house, and let's just hope for the best. And that was generally the solution. And again, this sort of stuff, like, it shouldn't be mind-blowing when you discover it, right? That it should just be like, yeah, I didn't know this before. And in fact, I think that's one of my favorite things to find out, like, or one of my favorite things to know, that, like, someone doesn't know a thing. And if you can admit you don't know a thing, it's kind of beautiful, because being I like being the first person to teach someone something to someone that I think is kind of obvious. Like, that's why I love showing people around a city for the first time. Like, oh yeah, look, if you as opposed to your terrible town, my town's terrible too. I'm not saying their town is terrible, but most of your towns are probably terrible. Oh, look at this in London. You tap a button and suddenly you're on the bus, and oh, it only costs you £1.50. Wow, isn't that so much better than paying £3 to get like a mile where you can pay this much to get that far? And I was like, wow, yeah, that is easy and cool and stuff. Or even just cool bits of knowledge, like the Geography of Toy Cat series on the second channel, IBX2Cat, plug. But that series really only was really only meant to be like, oh yeah, here are some facts that you might want to learn for the first time. And yeah, I think this is actually based. I think I learned this from like an XKCD comic or something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, every time you discover that someone doesn't know something really basic, then you should cherish that moment. It's like, wow, you can that someone there's only everyone has to discover knowledge at some point in life, right? So you should every single time that you discover someone doesn't know something simple, you can be the cool person to tell them something that's like a basic life skill. And to me, at least, that's something kind of cool. And maybe to everyone watching, it should be the same. But I don't know. That's something I always think about when something like that comes up, because when a teacher says there are no stupid questions, like, they're wrong, right? Because there are lots of stupid questions. There are lots of very, very stupid questions. Speaking of which, actually, I think I might have said the story before, but like, it was one of the moments where I realized, like, I don't think I can ever get along with these people when, like, I think it was a girl in my class. It was a business class. I wish this was the sort of thing that I could tell a story. It's like, oh yeah, and she was totally messing with the teacher. She showed her or him, and they're like, "What's a Yahoo?" That was generally the question. What's a Yahoo? I tried to go on the website once, but it was too confusing. And it's like, if you're again 16 or 17, like, further education age or whatever, and that's the sort of question you ask. That's one where you can't say, "Oh, look, I'm excited to tell someone what Yahoo is," because they were too confused when they went. That's probably something that, like, is a stupid question. But if it's like, "Oh yeah, what is water really made of?" then that's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Or like, whenever you, I think a lot of people who enjoy, like, exercise and there's like the fitness community, right? I think everyone in that really enjoys sharing their, I'm gonna say quote unquote knowledge, because it's usually not like amazingly high quality knowledge, but people love to share knowledge about that sort of thing, right? Because it feels like you're sharing this really important thing to you with someone else, and I think that's why these videos are so cool, and I really enjoy doing it. Because you might argue like, oh yeah, well, everyone really should know that sugarcane grows faster on dirt rather than sand, or everyone really should know that slimes spawn in swamps at night if you don't get to sleep quickly. But on the other hand, like, again, everyone has to learn sometime, and I'd like to be the person to teach you that. So I think that was a point that all came off something to do with fridges, maybe, and keeping ketchup in the fridge. Which, if you're curious, by the way, if you wanna like, if you've listened to all that and you're like, oh, it's like a reasonable point you've made there. I keep my ketchup in the fridge. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it, buddy? But with that said, hope you all enjoyed the video. Like it if you liked it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and I made some good progress today. I think not the same level as I was picturing. Like, I wanted this whole thing to be layered, but I guess I didn't have any birch planks like I figured I would. But as you can see, this whole thing looks way better. You can kind of see the thing going ahead. You can see that the front looks a lot better because we've got, like, proper entrances as opposed to just, like, hollowed out things. And this actually goes all the way up, and it doesn't look perfect. Again, I'm going to go back and fix that. But it almost, like, again, you can't really even tell unless you're really, really looking at it. And that's what I'm going for. So, yeah, we got everything working. It actually might be the wrong direction. I'm not sure. But, yeah, we got everything working here. I'm kind of pumped as to where this is going. I think we've got a bit too much, like, oak wood going on, like, something about that texture is kind of abrasive when there's too much of it, so I'll have to start working out different blocks to throw in there, or like some textures or whatever. But for now, things are going good, and I hope the same is true for all of you, because I'll see you all in another video on another day. Goodbye.